In this video, I'm going to show you how I combine two concepts that are on my district curriculum map for second graders. The first is warm and cool colors, and the other is the distinction between geometric and organic shapes. So I've come up with a 4-week lesson that combines the colors and the lines into two distinct projects that work together. The project takes 4 weeks of 50-minute lessons, and you will end up with two artworks from each student. One of them is going to have geometric lines and warm colors. The other is going to have organic lines and cool colors. On the first day, we're going to talk about lines, and we're going to start our line drawing. We want to make the distinction between geometric and organic lines. Geometric lines, names. They do not have wiggles. I use the term wiggles rather than curves because, of course, circles and ovals are geometric and they are curved, but there's nothing wiggly about them. And throughout this lesson, whenever I talk about geometric, I'm always pairing that with the warm colors, and whenever I do organic, I'm pairing it with the cool colors for consistency. Organic lines and shapes do not have names. They have wiggles. Now, of course, this is a very simplistic distinction, but it works for 7-year-olds. So let's get moving. We're going to do two dances. We're going to do the robot dance, and we're going to do the wiggle dance. So I get everybody to stand up, and when we are doing a geometric dance, we are moving very stiffly like a robot, and I'm getting them to repeat after me. Geometric, geometric. And I'm demonstrating moving my arms and bodies very stiffly in straight lines like a robot. And then when we do the organic dance, it's all soft and loose. Organic. I'm organic. And I'm wiggling and waving and bending over really loose. So get everybody moving and saying the words along with the movements. Then we can play a quick game. I like to choose table by table. Is that geometric or organic? Geometric or organic? So get them thinking, looking, thinking, does that have wiggles? Does that have a name? Does that have straight lines? And of course, you're going to get cases like, say, the spiral that actually does have a name, but think about how you would dance it. Would you use the organic dance to do a spiral, or would you do the geometric dance for that spiral? Then we're going to get to work. You need a piece of paper. I usually use a regular 9x12, but if you want to make it quicker, you can cut that in half and make smaller lines. I like this size because we can make those lines about the width of the ruler. And of course, this is a lesson in itself of being able to trace those lines along the ruler. I do it in pencil first, and then after they've done the pencil and drawn their shapes, then they can go over it with a marker. Then I demonstrate how to put geometric shapes in rows between the lines of the paper. I have samples like this that I put on each table, and I demonstrate the first few lines on the board and get them to participate. Take your pencil. Later, when it's all done, you can go over it with a marker. So I ask, okay, who can give me a geometric shape? Triangles. And so then I'll go along one row and I'll fill the whole thing with triangles. What about circles? Okay, I'm going to fill this whole row with circles. And you want to get them fairly big because they're going to color these in. If they have too much detail, it'll take a long time to color it all in. So you can go through and fill up your whole paper. And the pencil marker thing is really good because the people who work really quickly can do it with pencil and then go over it with marker. A Sharpie, a permanent marker is nice. And the ones who are more slow can just do it with the pencil. And if they don't get to the marker stage, that's fine. So that's going to be your first lesson. Here we have my friends going over their lines with marker, drawing with pencil. Here's one that went the other way. They can choose whatever geometric lines that they want. The next week, we are going to talk about the colors. Some colors are warm, some colors are cool. So on day 2, we're going to have our color lesson, and then we're going to color in the lines we did the previous week with warm colors. This is the first video I showed. This is a really cute music video, And it's comparing the warm and cool colors, and the bear is singing very slowly and smoothly about cool colors. And the penguin is really excited and fast talking about the warm colors. So you can use this as an opportunity to talk about the sort of emotional connotations of using the cool and warm colors if you want to add that in. This one is also fairly good, talking about the difference between the warm and cool colors. Mrs. Bunn's art class also has a video that I often use. But what about purple? You know, the warm cooler concept is kind of a tricky thing, and my curriculum has me introducing it in first grade. So this is actually the second time they're going to be looking at it. I think that's a little young, but some of them are ready to make the more complex distinctions. I don't really push this. Most of the videos are going to present purple as a cool color. I think mostly because they want to have 3 colors on both sides. Red, orange, and yellow on one, and blue, green, and purple on the other. But purple is tricky. So I have a big color wheel poster that I hold. And I say, okay, now what about purple? Is it warm or cool? And people have different opinions. Mostly they say it's cool because they've just seen videos that say that. Then we say, okay, so how do you make purple? Red and blue. Now, is red a warm color or a cool color? Now, what about blue? Is that a warm or a cool color? So if you put those together, it's actually mixed. It's right in the middle. If you have a purple with a little more blue in it, that's going to be a cool color. But if you've got a purple with a little more red in it, that's going to be a warm color. So there are all sorts of purples. So it's going to be your job as an artist to figure out whether the purple you have is going to fit into warm or cool. And remember, you can always test it on a little piece of paper and see what you think. But you're the artist, and so you can decide where it belongs. Now, I have a hard enough time with some of them even getting them to grasp the concept of warm and cool without the finer distinction of warm and cool within the same color. Some kids are ready for it, some not. It's not something I really push. But I want them to understand the distinction and start thinking about how colors are not hard and fast concepts. And I also encourage a lot of testing, and I say to all my grade levels, never trust a crayon. Never trust a pencil on what the outside of it looks like, because that is not necessarily the color that it's going to make. So I say never trust your crayon, always test it. Because, you know, even in reds, they'll pick up something that looks like a red crayon, but when they color with it, it's orange or more pink. So always test. Then we get out the paper that they drew last week, and you are going to color in those shapes with warm colors. This is a good time to talk about craftsmanship. I have some students who are going to work very carefully, and I have some that are going to scribble scrabble just as fast as they can. You're going to spend the whole class just coloring in this one item. So you want to encourage them to take their time and show good craftsmanship. I also have a craftsmanship video sometimes I show if I don't feel like overloading them with videos that day. For coloring this in, we use crayons, colored pencils, color sticks, and markers. I like to let them mix and match those materials. Really, you could do this with any number of different materials. You could use chalk pastel or oil pastel or even paint if you wanted. Here's some of my student work. It looks like this one used some oil pastel, and this one looks like mostly marker. So these are 2 really good examples. Most of the students are not going to produce something quite this. So on day 3, we're going to make our organic lines, and we're going to finish our warm coloring. Now is the time to review geometric lines and organic lines. You can even take time to do those dances again. Geometric, and because you're going to be making the organic lines today, you can put more emphasis on organic. For this, you're going to need a little bit heavier paper. Sometimes I use poster board, sometimes I use cardstock. Remember to put your name on the back first, because once it's got glue all over the front, you're not going to be able to flip it over. You're going to need colored glue. You can buy colored glue, or you can make your own by adding a little ink to white glue, or you can draw the lines with a watercolor marker in blue or green, go over it with white glue, and it will soak up and make colored lines. Then on our paper, we are going to squeeze out that glue in any kind of a wiggly organic design that you like. And when it dries, it's going to have this nice raised surface on it, which is going to make it fun to color in those shapes. So this goes on the drawing rack. I just do this with a handful of students at a time, maybe 6 at a time at one table right next to the drawing rack. Everybody else is working on their geometric coloring. And then day 4, we're going to finish up. We're going to color the organic lines with the cool colors. And this is a good time to go over again which colors are warm, which colors are cool. You can pre-sort your materials before they color and only give them warm color materials. But I don't do that. I give them all the materials and have them select their own colors. To help them do this, I usually have this chart up on the whiteboard. Some kids are really worried about getting it wrong, and others don't care at all. But for me, it's important that they are not just producing the artwork with the warm and cool colors, but they really understand and are able to choose themselves which one is correct. Materials I recommend are crayons, oil pastels, chalk pastels, markers. You could use watercolor. Metallic Sharpies are great. And quick sticks are terrific because you don't need the precision that you were using with the geometric lines. You can use messier materials on this part. All these use those really cool metallic markers. That raised glue line makes it really cool to color in. Another thing that I point out is that black and white are neutral. And you can include black and white in your warm and in your cool. It is perfectly okay to leave blank spaces. These two were done with the quick sticks. And you can see the difference where the other project was very controlled and focusing on craftsmanship, whereas this one is much looser and focused more on expression. Then when I put it up on display, I make it in a sort of a checkerboard so that you can see both the cool organic and the warm geometric. So this is the way I teach it, but I think you can take this basic concept of pairing geometric with the warm colors and organic with the cool colors and really expand on it and come up with different frameworks for the finished project. So I'd love to see what you do with this. I welcome your comments and especially your pictures. So I'm Heidi Howe, and that was my 2nd grade lines and colors project. And it gives them a good start for what we're doing for the rest of the year. I'm posting my whole curriculum before I retire, so if you would like to see all of these videos, like and subscribe, and they will all show up in your feed. Now go teach them lines and colors.